Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Example number 1. The return and expected return of stock X and Y for 2 periods are given below. What are the information? The return and expected return. So 2 things are given in the following information. 1. Return is given, and the second thing, expected returns are given. For which security? For stock X or security X as well as security Y. For how many periods? For 2 periods are given. Now, these are the information. Period 1 and period 2. Stock X for period 1, stock Y for period 1, stock X for period 2, and stock Y for period 2. So let us, for example, separate the period 1 from period 2. Okay? And of course, return for period 1 for stock X 7, for stock Y this one 13. In the period 2, return for stock X is, okay, let me check out this one itself. In the period 2, return for stock X is 13 and for stock Y is equal to 5. Expected return for period 1 for stock X is 9, for stock Y is also 9. And period 2 for stock X is 9, again for stock Y is also 9. What is expected from us? Calculate covariance and coefficient of correlation between the stock X and Y if the standard deviation of the stocks are 2 and 4 respectively. The standard deviation of X is 2, the standard deviation of Y is equal to 4. So you have to calculate what? We have to calculate 2 things. So first, we have to calculate the covariance, and second thing, we have to calculate the coefficient of correlation. So 2 things are to be calculated. First of all, let us calculate covariance, right? How to calculate covariance? So this was the formula, right? Covariance is equal to R return of X minus expected return of X, return of Y minus expected return of Y. So how many columns are needed? 1 column for return and 1 column for expected return, and the second column in order to minus. Next column for Y, next column for Y bar, and the next column for deduction, and the next column for multiplication of these two. So totally how many columns are required? 7 columns, and 1 column is required for the period. So we can say 8 columns are needed. How many columns are needed? 8 columns are needed. So instead of this one, let us do this one also with the Excel, so to make it easy, right? So let me open the Excel file, right? Go for the edit. Edit this one. Yep. Now we can do, or we can calculate this one with the help of Excel, right? So let us do it here itself. First of all, of course, expand the size. How many columns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more, 8 columns. And increase the font size. Increase the font size to 16, right? So first you have to mention the period. As I said before, we need how many columns? We need 8 columns. First column for this one. Second column, make for Rx. Rx means return of X. Next column, make for R bar X. What X? R bar X, right? R bar X. Next column, make for R minus R bar X, right? So this was that. And the next column, make for RY, right? And the next column for R bar Y. And the next column, make for R Y minus R bar Y, right? And the next column, of course, you have to multiply these two. You have to multiply these 2 columns. How to do it? You have to do like this. Rx minus R bar X, R bar X. So this is close, and of course it should be multiplied to RY minus R bar Y, right? So you have to close it. So this was the number of columns that we need in order to calculate this one, right? So how many columns are needed? 4 columns, 8 columns are needed. 1 column for the period. So you can mention first period. And then the next one is of course the second period, right? After that, you have to take the information from here. You can fill up return of x for period 1, period 2. Expected return of x for period 1, period 2. Everything is given here. Return, and then you have to minus. And then, so here we have not mentioned x. Mention x as well. Return of x minus expected return of x. Right? Return of y, expected return of y. Return of y minus expected return, and so on. So in this way you can do it. So from here you can take information. Information simply can be taken from here. Period 1. Stock x. How much is return? Stock x, return is equal to 7. So you can mention 7. Of course, period 2, return of x is equal to how much? It is equal to hello 1. Then, expected return of x. How much is it expected return of x? Expected return of x for the period 1 is 9, and for period 2 is also equal to 9, right? Then go for stock y. How much is the return of y for period 1? It's 13. How much is for the second period? It is 5. For the first period it is 13. For the second period it is equal to 5. How much is expected return of y? It is also 9. In this example it is equal for 9 and so on. So that is done. The next thing, so this was the information that was given in the question, so you have it. Now you need to calculate the rest of the things. First of all, you have to find out this one, right? And of course, let me change the color to something else. For example, let us do like this. First one, you have to minus r from return of x minus expected return of x. How much is return of x? Return of x is 7. From this one, or let us do directly, for example. Return of this one. Return of x is 7 from 7 minus expected return of this one, x. From 7 minus 9, so result is equal to minus 2. Minus what? Minus 2. The next one, for the second period. From return minus expected return. From hello 1 minus 9, you get 2, right? Go for the y. Return of x, return of y minus expected return of y. 13 minus 9 equal to 4. And for the second period, from 5 minus 9, you get minus 4. Minus how much? Minus 4. So then find out this one. Next column is the difference of each column, the difference of x minus x bar and y minus y bar, right? Or x minus r bar x should be multiplied to ry minus ry bar. It means the result of this column should be multiplied to the result of this column, right? So both should be multiplied to each other. How we can do it? Simply we can do it through this Excel. So this column should be multiplied to this column, right? We can do it. So, sorry. This column should be multiplied to this column, then press equal, minus 8. And of course, you can do for the next column as well. This column multiplied, this column multiplied to this column itself. You get again how much? Minus 8, right? Now, if you sum up this to minus 8 plus minus 8, you get minus 60, right? So this is basically not still it is not the covariance. It is not the covariance. How we can find the covariance? Of course, for the purpose of calculating the covariance, this result should be divided by the number of period, right? So here you can mention covariance, then you can merge the file, covariance. Covariance is equal to whatever is the result of this one. Whatever is the result of this one, this should be divided by 2. Why this one should be divided by 2? Because 2 is the number of period, and this was for 2 years. So please save this one, and of course close this Excel file. Now, covariance is equal to how much? Covariance is equal to minus 8. Basically, in this case, we need only the sign of it, right? And the sign is negative. If the sign is negative, it means the two security which you want to combine, they do not have the same feature. Or we can say they do not move in the same direction. If they do not move in the same direction, it means risk of these two securities is less and you can make an investment, right? So this was one of the signs that you have calculated through covariance. Also, we have to calculate, this was the covariance. Also, we have to calculate the coefficient of correlation. And if you remember what was the coefficient of correlation formula, this was that. Covariance divided by standard deviation of x as well as standard deviation of y, right? So you can do it here itself. Let us say, for example, we want to calculate coefficient of correlation between x and y is equal to how much? Let me do it here itself. Right? Coefficient of correlation between security x and y is equal to result of covariance. Result of covariance is equal to how much? Minus 8. Result of this one should be divided by what? Should be divided by a standard deviation of x and a standard deviation of y. If you see the formula, a standard deviation of x and a standard deviation of y. A standard deviation of x and y are given in the question. Of course, one is 2 and the next one is 4, right? So 2 multiply 2 4, right? Now you can press the equal sign, you get the result. The result is equal to minus 16. No, it is not minus 16. So there's a mistake. So let me do it once again. Press the equal sign. So that is wrong. So let me do it again. Okay. Now, see, minus 8 divided by 4, 2 into 4 again become 8. Now press the equal sign, you get the result. The result of this one is equal to how much? Result is equal to this one, minus 1. And this is, of course, the result of coefficient of correlation. If you remember, we said that if the result of coefficient of correlation is equal to minus 1, it is called perfect negative correlation, right? Perfect negative correlation. If it is a perfect negative correlation, it means the two security which you want to combine in your portfolio, they are 100% opposite of each other. If 100% opposite of each other, risk of this security, risk of this portfolio is negligible. Or we can say even the risk is nil, there is no risk, right? So we can say once again, this is a good portfolio. So how we can differentiate between these two? The two formula. This formula just says that the two security which combine does not have the same feature, but this method cannot specify exactly that. For example, out of how many percentage. But this one we can say it talks about the percentage. If it is minus 1, it is called perfect, and the 100% are opposite of each other. So the risk of the portfolio is basically negligible, and we can say risk is less. Risk is even 0, right? So this was the calculation of covariance and coefficient of correlation.